I showed an earlier version of this, and I wanted to kind of give an update of how it's going. This is a historical roleplay. It's entirely run by GPT and kind of large language models, and I'll show some of what it does and kind of the idea. So we'll create a new character here. And these are just a bunch of locations and dates that I kind of brainstormed. Let's try Babylon. So given Babylon, it's now going to come up with some interesting dates for Babylon. You can see here is the um, prompt that's being used. And I need to update this model clearly. It's kind of an old model. So here it came up with several dates and reasons why they're interesting. Um, so yeah, Hammurabi, that sounds interesting. All right. You can do female or male and non-binary. I will say it's more of a surreal experience than anything if you do non-binary, because GPT will very carefully never like use your pronouns, but you're not actually like it's more like a dream state. You're neither male nor female nor either. It's like everything ignores that. You're not living life as a non-binary person might actually live it in this time, but kind of experiment. So to try to give some like possible creativity here, I give a bunch of ideas of words. You can write your own words. Make it like an eccentric, frail, and I'm going to put my own genius, uh, who, yeah, we'll go with that. And given those basic inspiration words, it's going to come up with some concrete, um, more fully expanded personality choices. So here's a few. Um, all right, mystical savant. Let's try that one. Now it's going to think about the family, and here we also again ask the LLM for social statuses that are appropriate for this time, ethnicities, of which there's quite a few, religions, which there's less, and then just general kind of words. And again, you can have as many as you want. Have I don't know these too well. Let's see, what were the Amorites like? So I'm here. It's just a thing that can ask about anything here, and it's going to ask about Amorite to the LLM. It also in this, I've asked it to speak at a 5th grade level, um, to whatever it is, it should be simpler. So Hammurabi was an Amorite. I didn't know that. Sure, let's try Amorite. You don't have to choose these. And what's the family going to be like? Um, now, didn't we say priesthood? No, I'm going to be mystic, and they're going to be secular. And sophisticated, let's say. All right, let it work on some fully filled out family ideas here. All right, that took quite a while. It cost 3 cents apparently. One, I don't know why it says 1 point. It was more like 30 seconds. But let's see, what are some options here? Let's see a scholarly circle. That seems good. Now, quick, do some culturally appropriate names. And I don't know, Shala, something I could pronounce in this here. Sure. Now, given the family, it's going to create some family members. These are going to be kind of the first characters that you're going to encounter in your life. So to give an idea, this is starting from childhood, and the idea is you experience through kind of a series of events and see how your life progresses. And so, of course, Childhood begins a lot with your family context, and so there's a lot of family setup here. All right, these are all fine. This is mostly so I can be sure it's good. All right, now we're ready to start our first role play. And again, it's going to go through the same process. I'm going to 15, and it will come up with some ideas. First, it like speculates about what my life might be like. My brother's born. I learned some cuneiform script. I witnessed a solar eclipse. All right, and it actually fills it out even further to try to give a sense of continuity, but this is going to be the break. So only these things are going to really matter. So now we're getting closer to the actual game part, which is where um, you could try to like experience parts of your life and make choices and such. This is the part I'm also struggling with more. Um, so to start with, here are some scenarios you can go through. Deciphering enigmatic text. That does never works out very well. Uh, GPT loves the idea of it though. This is uncovering scrolls that challenge beliefs, spiritual disillusionment. One of the things that should happen and may not here is that while those were kind of like general things, it's really important that it have very specific results. Um, if I'm finding something that challenges my beliefs, we actually have to specify what it is. So there's a good chance it's going to fail at that, but that's one of the kind of important challenges. If you set up a choice, you can say it vaguely, but when you get to the actual play, you have to say it specifically. Um, my struggles at trying to get it to do that are sometimes not fully successful. Okay, so here's all the details. These aren't necessarily things you would read, but they are intended to be, well, reviewable at least. And they all lead into the actual roleplay. The LLM has chosen a nice floral background for the roleplay because I think we're set outside in the serene gardens. And I'm with a respected priest and a scholarly woman. And so here is a place where the idea is you would play out this scenario as your character and make choices and then see how that affects your life going forward. This one does not have a lot of real challenge, or like it's unclear what you're trying to get out of this. I don't actually have a lot of opinions about Babylonian spiritual beliefs, so it's hard for me to jump in and do this. But I'm going to kind of give it a try. So I'm going to show a little bit here about what went into that. So I'm going to give the full everything that's here. So I wrote this. This character has kind of remained dominant here, though the other character could jump in. This character has a chance to think about things, make decisions, and have thoughts about it, as well as a speech. So these are all kind of internal things, which I'll turn off again. But they're meant to try to make these more, I don't know, pertinent, more salient, um, something like that. All right. Have you ever seen the gods? The strength of a mighty with Tell the people. To them we speak of the gods as So like here, I don't know, what is my goal? I can ask, what's the other character here? And they should hopefully respond, though it's up to the LLM to actually decide to switch things. So here, um, and here's again where like, can we make the characters strong enough and give them enough kind of basis? So if, well, here I could, these are secrets that would not get shown, but so here is maybe what the tension, which is not coming out properly. And they ideally there would be kind of like conflict here and opinions and things like this. This is kind of the basis of the conversation as well, which will be updated periodically if necessary. Um, so I'm going to quickly go through and try to get this scrolls out. And here it really did a very abrupt end scene, but I can ignore it. The end scene actually happens here. We have the conclusion criteria, and for some reason it believed the conclusion criteria was met. Doesn't really feel like it to me. Um, and here's its description of why it thinks the conclusion was met. But again, does not make sense to me. But I can ignore that. All right. Here is then some like action in a small sense that happened. Let's say I read the scrolls. We'll see if it's able to actually follow through and come up with some idea of what might be in these. It's okay. Now let's try, what happens when we try a different LLM? So I'm going to redo, which is I'm going to resubmit everything exactly as it was before. This time I'm going to do it to GPT-4. I switched to GPT 3.5 before. And let's see if it has a better response. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We could try Gemini. All the previous steps would have worked rather poorly with Gemini, but this step shouldn't. Well, Gemini didn't work, but let's try Claude Opus. Gemini did not like the format of my prompt for some reason. Claude Opus is rather boring about it. Oh, 6 cents. It's so expensive. Yeah, like this, I'm sure a whole session would add up to $1 or $2 if I was using Opus. Yeah, these are all kind of like relatively equivalent. I was hoping that one of them would like decide to actually go ahead and include more imaginative stuff we see here. There's nothing like actually very interesting in here. That's disappointing, though that's potentially, I don't know why the prompt didn't encourage it and why this instruction was not sufficient to get it to actually put that forward. So the challenge here, I'm going to say, well, let's finish it up. Go back to Turbo. And let's see if that will, again, end the scene. I had to say goodbye, maybe. Try harder. There we go. All right, so now I will end the scene. And what's going to happen is we'll take the scene and analyze it and see how this affects my character's personality. So it's doing a few different steps here that'll show me the result of. One of the things I've tried to do is have the characters involved give judgments about how, I don't know, what's going on here. So Amatsin was inspired by me. I don't know. Araba Marduk decided to guide me. I don't know. not very strong. But again, it depends a lot on the underlying scenario, and that's something I'm still really challenged by, is to figure out how that scenario should, I don't know, inspire strong reactions. Um, and then here it added, some fairly small but still amended um, my character description. And so now when I go back here and start another role play at another age, which it's not working, but if it did, probably because I have apparently not made the BC stuff work right. If it did, then it would create a life story that extended from there, taking into account some of the new aspects of my personality that came out there. So you see, I'm struggling with parts of it. Other parts I find interesting, and that is kind of the progress as of this moment.